and Listings podcast. Today we have a special guest, Mark.
Hey, how's it going, Jennifer?
Pretty good. I'm really excited for today. So for everybody that's listening in that has not met you yet, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're at, what you're all about.
So my name is Marc Hernandez, and I was born and raised in Los Angeles, specifically in the San Gabriel Valley. Went to USC and got into real estate right out of USC, but I'll tell you more about that story momentarily. But I'm with Compass here in Beverly Hills. I'm a luxury real estate agent, but I help all clients. I mean, whether it's a $500,000 condo or a $5 million single family residence, I'm there for anyone that really needs my help. I live in the Hollywood Hills with my wife, Esther, and my 13-year-old son, Lennon, who's named after the guy behind me here. And he's really a talented musician, lead guitar and singer. And he's already passed me up height-wise. So he's about 6 foot. I'm 5'11". And I've been with Compass for about 5 years. And before that, I was with Douglas Elliman for a couple of years. And I love what I do.
Awesome. And I want to dig into your story because you've done a couple different things over the years that really all ended up tying into each other. So let's dig into that. Where did real estate start and evolve from?
So when I went to USC, a few of my friends were taking a real estate course, and I was a little questionable as to why. I mean, you buy a house, you work with an agent. Why? But what I didn't know is that there was this vast world of commercial real estate that I knew nothing about, right? Commercial retail centers, industrial parks, high-rise office buildings, build-to-suits, REITs, all of this. So once I got into that class, it really opened my eyes. And right out of college, I ended up getting my real estate license and started on the commercial side. So I started as a high-rise office building sales and leasing agent, mostly on tenant representation. From there, I did that for about 5 years. I was very young, knocking on doors in office buildings and trying to find the next lease lead. I was in my early 20s. I did okay. I didn't crush it. So after about 5 years of doing it, there was an ad in the paper to manage a building in Orange County. And the building, once I went in for the interview, I realized that the building was called Center Tower. It was the tallest and highest quality office building in Orange County. And it was owned and operated by the Segerstrom family. I don't know how familiar you are with Orange County and South Coast Plaza, but the Segerstroms had owned acres and acres of land since the 1800s. And now they have this retail center that has become one of the highest, rent per square foot, highest sales per square foot destination in the country. So I started managing Center Tower. I learned how to, prepare operating budgets and capital expense budgets and working with the leasing agents and the architects that did the tenant improvements, doing tenant retention events and all this. So I really learned how to manage and operate not only real estate, but a business.
Yeah.
And after managing that one building, Center Tower, they gave me more buildings. They gave me the Comerica Twin Bank and the Imperial Bank Tower. And all of a sudden my portfolio was growing and I was really having a good time with it and making good money for a guy in his mid-20s. And then I don't know if it was a promotion, but they asked me to get on the retail side of the events. And I went over to Crystal Court, which was an expansion of South Coast Plaza. 685,000 square foot, 3-story retail center. And now instead of doing office related activities, we're adding in fashion catalogs and, fashion shows and flower shows. And really, it was at that point where I really learned how to market to women, which I still do to this day, because if you think about it, women make the decisions in real estate primarily. Mm-hmm. Women really are the greater percentage of real estate agents out there, right? So I learned a lot of valuable lessons working for Henry Segerstrom and Anton Segerstrom and their family at South Coast Plaza. Towards the end of, I think I was at South Coast Plaza, don't quote me on this, but roughly around 10, 11 years, I was slowly falling in love with the entertainment business. And I was reading books about Michael Eisner and Mike Ovitz and Lou Wasserman and all these titans and of entertainment, and I wanted to do that, right? So I left the real estate business. I left a 6-figure salary and all the accoutrements of a good job like that and the insurance, everything, and I went to work right down the street here on Wilshire Boulevard at United Talent Agency in the mailroom, making $350 a week. I went from 6 figures at the age. By now, I'm like probably 34-ish, and imagine being in your mid 30s, and you go from 6 figures to $350 a week.
Everyone thinks you're crazy. That's what happens.
my parents weren't too thrilled about that, right? They just helped me pay for a USC education, not cheap, and now I'm working in the mailroom in this business that they know nothing about. I was roughly 34. Most of my cohorts in the mailroom were like 24. And so I got in kind of relatively late. I didn't have the runway, even though I really wanted to be an agent. I think in the 2 years that I was at UTA, they had promoted one of the 50 assistants to be an agent. And most of those that did become an agent had been at least 6, 8, 10 years.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that. So I pivoted into literary management, which is very similar, selling spec screenplays, getting my clients writing assignments or directing assignments. The difference between a manager and an agent: a manager isn't governed by the California Labor Board and they can produce, right? Whereas an agent can't or couldn't at that time. So anyway, I started with a company called Zide Perry Entertainment. You may know them from their teen comedies and teen horror movies. So if you've ever watched American Pie 1, 2, 3, 20, whatever,
Yeah.
you know Zide Perry, and Final Destination. Remember the Final Destination movies?
Yeah.
So I started there as a junior literary agent in a very tough time. There was an imminent writer's strike. I got paid very little money when I took the job because the strike was coming, but I was there for about a year. And then after that, I started my own literary management company, Crescendo Entertainment Group. And you're talking to the group. So it was just me, a phone, a computer in my kitchen at my apartment. And, I had a brand. I had a business. It felt good. The first year I did okay. The second year I did much better. I think I almost broke $100,000 in fees and commission. And then the third year there was a writer's strike, and my business imploded. And at that period, this was about 2003, 2004. I needed a job, and I pivoted into right at that time, 2004. You have to remember that this was a time when we were leaving dial-up. Remember AOL and right, that sound, and then broadband was kicking in, transfer speeds. You could then start to see advertisements with pop-ups or floating advertisements. We were starting to then see a little bit of like movie trailers where you could see them on your desktop. We weren't on the phones yet really with that kind of stuff, but it was mostly desktop advertising. I got I landed a couple of different jobs. I won't get into every single one of them in digital entertainment, and then I landed what I call the job of all jobs, and that was running the national digital advertising sales team for Fox Television Networks and American Idol.
Wow.
And my boss, great guy, still in touch with him to this day, sat in New York City on 6th Avenue. I sat on the Fox lot with team there. We also had team in Chicago and team in New York. And I oversaw about, I think it was 12 or 13 account executives and some operations people, and was out all over the country with my team selling campaigns, sponsorships, integrations with the network, and really loved Fox. I was there about 7 years, and then American Idol was in its 14th season. So it was getting a little long in the tooth. and ratings were starting to drop. And so they did a reduction in force,
Yeah.
about 25%. And I was one of the 25%, and I got it. I mean, it's bittersweet. It's how business operates. At that time, I had a son. His name is Lennon, named after the guy behind me. I realized I couldn't do corporate America forever. I was 50, and you can't do that forever. And so I wanted to do something where I could make a handsome living. I could have flexibility to have time with my son as he went through stages of school and performances and soccer games or what have you.
Yeah.
And the light bulb went off, and I said, you know what? I got to reactivate my license and get into the wonderful world of real estate and kind of focus on the luxury side. I wanted to be in the Beverly Hills office. I cover the greater LA area, but I wanted to have a Beverly Hills address. And like I said, to be able to do business anywhere, anytime, and have time for Lennon and my wife, Esther, and family time as well. So anyway, that's, started right out of SC in commercial real estate, went through the entertainment career, and then, from motion picture literary representation, then to the television and the television advertising side of entertainment, and then came full circle into luxury real estate representation or brokerage. And that's where I am today.
It's great. I have so many questions about this because
Good.
Like you just dive into things. Are you the type that just figures things out? Did you look for mentors? Like, how did you excel in each of those different fields?
You just brought me back to my childhood, because I remember getting frustrated with my little sister, 5 years younger than me. Whenever we would go into the pool, she'd have to put her feet on the steps, brush the water up on the legs, and this, and I'm all, let's go, or jump in. And that's just kind of how I am. I mean, I do make calculations. I want to sure what I'm doing is at least somewhat smart, safe, and but yeah, I guess I have a lot of, like, when I left commercial real estate to reinvent myself, start in the mailroom at United Talent Agency, making $350 a week. It was a big drop in compensation.
Yeah.
It was going to the bottom of a new ladder, but I knew that I could climb up that ladder and reach, greater heights than the previous ladder. I am ambitious and impetuous, I guess, right? I go for it.
Yeah, you must, because you just done each of the different things. So
Real quickly, one side story, if you don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead.
So when I got in entertainment, I was coming off of commercial real estate, and I knew I had read books about how to break into Hollywood. One of them was called, I think it was How to Break into Hollywood by Linda Bazell, great book. And I literally called, I read the book, I looked her up, at 411, information, whatever, her office right down here on South Beverly Beverly Drive here in Beverly Hills. I said, I'll pay you anything. I need to come see you. You need to help me get into Hollywood. I think I paid her hourly fee and saw her, and she looked at my resume and she said, we have to dumb this down. It's got too many accolades and accomplishments, and they won't hire you in the mailroom. They'll say you're overqualified.
Yeah.
So she helped me work on that, and I start sending it out to, I start sending out to the agencies, and I really wasn't getting any calls yet. And then I called up, talk about relationships. I called one of my one of my USC friends from the business school, who happened to be the personal accountant for Stevie Wonder. And I said, hey man, you got to help me get in the business. I want to get into the motion picture. What do I do? Me too. I'm interested in music. And he says, go see this guy. Gave me the number. And I go, okay, what's his name? And he goes, his last name is Gordy. I'm writing Gordy. His first name is Carey. And I'm on the phone with them. I'm all, Carey, like as in Barry Gordy, like the founder of Motown. And he's like, that's him. I'm like, wow. So I drove up to the Hollywood Hills, met with Carey Gordy. He wasn't looking to pay anyone at the time. He was looking for an intern. And I told him, I'll give you 2 months. And he says, deal. So I remember the first day driving home from Carey's house and literally taking my resume, pulling it up, and putting 3 bullet points of the things that I would be doing for him when I got the job, right?
Yeah.
About a month later, still hadn't landed any interviews. About a month later, one of his good friends came down to see him. She also lived up in the Hollywood Hills, and she had a small little talent agency, and she was staffing a lot of actors for daytime TV.
Yeah.
And we talked, and what are you doing? Do you love it? And oh, I want to get in that business. And hey, could you ever use any help? And she goes, oh yeah, oh my God, I have so much work to do. So I asked Carrie's permission. I said, hey, would you mind if I go over there one day a week and help her out? He's like, yeah, that's cool. So I remember driving home, getting home that day, putting 3 more bullet points on the resume, right? Start sending them out. And before you know it, I got a call, and I was invited to come in to interview with the United Talent Agency, and I got the job starting in the mailroom.
It's amazing. So it's like you're really, I mean, obviously you're putting yourself out there. You're making phone calls, you're applying, you're doing so many different things, as well as using someone else's knowledge, right? Like, I will pay you an hourly fee. I'll work for free, whatever it takes for a couple of months just to get your foot on the door because you knew you were going to be able to do that.
Right.
So,
right.
And I feel like that was like what happened on the commercial side too. You just jumped in and started managing this whole building.
Yeah.
I'm assuming not fully knowing what you were doing.
I had never done it before. But one thing I can say that I'm pretty solid at, I'm really solid at what I call marshaling my resources.
Yeah.
If I don't know something, I don't freak out about it. I don't hold myself back from going through the door. I just quickly on how to connect the dots. Who do I know that I could ask the question, get the answer?
Yeah.
Who do I know that I could team up with to get this project completed? Right. And so that has been all career, and it's been a long one. And to this day, I mean, even putting together real estate deals. So yeah, marshaling your resources I think it's an important thing to do.
That's a great takeaway for anybody that's listening, right? You don't have to be scared about doing something new. You probably already have someone or a resource that can help you get to that next level or that next step. So that's really
Absolutely.
Great. Well, Marc, this has been really great. I'm going to pivot a little bit, and I'm going to ask you, what is the funniest thing that has ever happened to you in real estate?
Funniest thing. Oh my gosh, that is a tough one. Funniest thing. I don't know if this is that funny, but it was funny to me. So can we try that?
That works for me.
So I love rock and roll music. I'm a big fanboy of hypes of music.
Yeah.
And I remember showing a billionaire a home in the Hollywood Hills. And this billionaire was only like 37 years old. It was family money. He was from outside of our country to see a few properties. And here I was showing him properties, and he rolls up in this Escalade, and he's got the driver, he's got the kind of the bouncer guy, has these like 4 cute little girl fans of his, right? They're just he running all around wherever he is. And so they were like in their early 20s or whatever. And I remember going to see the home that was occupied by Rachel Hunter. And Rachel Hunter used to be married to Rod Stewart. And I used to love Rod Stewart.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're touring the home, and it's me and the guy and the 4 girls. And all of a sudden I walk into this big like den area, very masculine, dark. And on the wall is this big glass encased framed football soccer jersey, and it says Stewart on it. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I go, that's Rod Stewart's jersey. And one of the little girls goes, what movie was he in again?
I mean, you can't even make that up.
Nails on the chalkboard, record scratch.
Did you?
But it was
try to
it was fun.
Really like, oh, I don't know. Did you explain it to her, or you just move on?
I don't remember. I think I moved on, but it was kind of a funny moment to me.
So good. Marc, this has been such a fun conversation. I feel like we could have taken this in a million different, in different directions, but just hearing your story is just so inspirational, just being able to dive into anything that you've been given. So if anybody that's listening wants to get in touch with you, either to send you a referral or just follow what you've got going on, where's the best place to send them?
Well, first of all, thank you, Jennifer. And I've had a lot of fun here with you today. And if you ever want to do it again, I'd be happy to spend more time. If anyone wants to reach me, I'm on Instagram at the Marc Hernandez, and I'm easily searchable on LinkedIn. I connect with people on LinkedIn, and my email address is first name dot last name, so it's Marc with a C .Hernandez@compass.com.
Perfect. Easy enough. Well, thanks for joining us today, and then we'll have to do this again soon.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. I really had a good time.
Thanks.
See ya. Bye.